The framework of cooperation between the Gambia and the European Union started under the Lome Convention I in 1976. It was designed to provide a new framework of cooperation between the then European Economic Community (EEC) and the developing ACP countries, in particular former British, Dutch, Belgian and French colonies. Today, the Gambia-EU Development Cooperation is strongly anchored on the principles of the Cotonou Agreement Partnership signed in June 2000 and revised in 2005 and 2010. Over time, the cooperation has been broadened to cover three complementary pillars: development cooperation, political dialogue, and economic and commercial cooperation, with the ultimate aim of addressing poverty through sustainable development. The goals set in these pillars are aligned with Gambia's government development plans, particularly the Program for Accelerated Growth and Employment PAGE and Vision 2020.
The Gambia-EU cooperation seeks to eradicate poverty in the country as well as contribute to the country's national development endeavors and also help to improve many sectors of the Gambian economy.
It's important that you have people on the ground to roll out the different activities and making sure that the mandate is accomplished. What is the mandate? In very short term, the mandate is to enhance the cooperation and the partnership between the European Union and the Gambia and its people.
The National Authorising Officers Support Unit (NAOSU), under the leadership of the Permanent Secretary1 of the Ministry of Finance and Economic Affairs, is responsible for overseeing the implementation of activities financed under the Gambia-EU Cooperation. In addition, the unit coordinates and monitors the implementation of programs and projects with the support of key partners and non-state actors to achieve the overarching objective of the cooperation. It facilitates and supports in all phases of the project cycle the effective design and implementation of the actions funded by the EDF and other EU funds, together with improved awareness among key actors in the Gambia of development and trade-related issues and of EU policies in these areas.
NAOSU is the unit that supports the National Authorizing Officer, who is the Permanent Secretary of the Ministry of Finance and Economic Affairs, in overseeing the projects and programs funded by the European Union.
This comprehensive partnership framework agreement focuses on three broad areas of cooperation. This includes the development cooperation, political cooperation, economic and regional cooperation. As the National Authorizing Officer for the European Development Fund in the Gambia, I use this opportunity to collaborate with all line ministries, including also the civil society organizations and the private sector, in order to maximize the benefits of this mutual cooperation.
The cooperation evolved from a sectoral to a more integrated approach, especially in the key sectors of the economy.
Cotonou as an overall arching, if you like, agreement with Gambia and the other countries of the ACP is trying to bring Gambia into the global economic community.
The cooperation started a long time ago. We are currently implementing the 10th EDF. The 10th EDF is to a tune of over 60 million euros. But before that, you have the 9th EDF, you also have the 8th EDF, and the 7th as well as the 6th.
Under the 6th EDF, the Upper River Division Integrated Program, based in the Upper River region, was meant to give support to achieve greater self-sufficiency in food production. The National Indicative Program under the 7th EDF had an envelope of around ECU 25 million. The Divisional Development Program, DDP, the major program signed in 1990, was also conceived as an integrated approach under the 7th European Development Fund, EDF, and concentrated mainly in the Upper River region, the North Bank region, and the Western region.
I worked under the EDF 6 and 7 when I was governor of Upper River Region from 1986 to 1992. When the project came, it did a lot to improve on the living conditions of the people of the Upper River Region in the area of agriculture, education, infrastructure, and road construction.
Rural development, including various activities undertaken for the benefit of the rural population in the form of economic and social infrastructure and other measures to foster development and raise living standards in rural areas through coherent programs of improvement measures in the community-supported projects in the URR, WCR, and NBR. The component includes feeder roads and rural water supply, soil conservation, reforestation, and other environmental measures to improve the environment, community-based development through micro-projects, decentralization through direct links with village-level societies, local development committees, civil societies, and other groups and agencies, including non-governmental agencies.
In the area of education, well, the URDIP project constructed some few schools there in URR, and in the area of roads, they built the Lome Pasama stretch, gravel. It was gravel. It was in a very bad shape, but when they gravelled the road, it was better. And the road from the ferry at Woolly, from the Woolly end to Yorobawal, linking the Lome Pasama stretch, that was also done during the URDIP project. And the ferry in Basse was also bought during that project. The present ferry operating with Basse and Woolly was purchased from these project funds, and the Dome ferry also in Fatoto was purchased under the same project.
The 8th EDF National Indicative Program, NIP, was signed in 1998, in which the areas of concentration were rural development in a decentralized framework. The Support to Decentralized Rural Development (SDRD) program was launched as the main program implementing this sector. The program aimed to alleviate poverty and concentrated on decentralized rural development in 3 of the 5 regions in the Gambia, namely North Bank, Upper River, and West Coast regions. The second area of concentration of the 8th EDF was the education sector, with the Support to the Education Sector Program (SESP) as the main project. Its main objective were to improve access and the quality, relevance, and efficiency of basic education, grades 1 to 9, paying particular attention to improving girls' enrollment, retention, and performance, and expand opportunities for vocational training in rural areas in response to labor market demand in order to increase the number and quality of skilled people working in agriculture or other related activities in these areas.
Then we had the 8th EDF, where support was given to the Decentralized Rural Development, SDRD, was the main program there, with a budget of almost 17 million euros.
The other non-focal sectors under the 8th EDF included support to the transport, road infrastructure, good governance, and reinforcement of democratic structures, public capacity building in areas of economic and financial management, tourism promotion, fisheries, forestry, and livestock. The general framework of both the 9th and 10th EDF NIP for the Gambia establishes an overall objective of equitable and balanced economic growth and social development. The improvement of the country's national and regional road network under the support to the Gambia's National Transport Plan is of great importance as it enhances regional integration, trade, and the free movement of people and goods within the ECOWAS region. The 76.5 million project successfully rehabilitated and constructed the Bara Amdalai 19.9 kilometer road Basse Bypass and Mandinaba Seleti Road, 12.7 kilometers, Trans-Gambia Road, 24 kilometers, Soma Basse Road, 190 kilometers, Basse Velingara, 28.86 kilometers. The project also funded studies on the feeder roads and provide technical assistance to the National Roads Authority.
Are unaware that, for example, most of the tar macadam's main roads in the Gambia were actually built with money from the European Union, from the 10th and the 9th European Development Fund, as part of this 5-year cycle of programming.
The 10th EDF, we had 2 focal sectors, which was support to the Gambia National Transport Plan, and then we had the governance as well. The governance program was 13 million euro, downsized to 10, and the transport plan was overall 76 million euros, which includes regional funds as well as funds from the National Indicative Program.
We are not here to roll out programs for the sake of programs. We are not here to spend the EU taxpayers' money for the sake of spending the money. We are here to make a difference. We are here to make sure that what we eventually develop and deliver as a kind of development cooperation program, that is complementary to the national development goals and objectives of the country.
Under the 9th NIP, the Rural Water Supply Sector RWSS project aimed at increasing access to rural and peri-urban water supply for over 115,000 people and to improve operation and maintenance arrangements for water facilities, hygiene practice, and quality monitoring, and to strengthen institutional capacity in the water sector.
9th EDF concentrated on the water supply as a priority, as well as roads. So you will see that the road project was funded from 9th and the 10th EDF resources.
In the end, the RWSS project had over 80 large diameter wells equipped with hand pumps, over 50 drill tube wells with hand pumps, 25 solar-powered water supply systems installed, 9 peri-urban water supply systems extended and strengthened the institutional capacities of the Department of Water Resources. Overall, 164 new water supply systems were installed, benefiting about 113,500 rural and peri-urban residents.
Ntolji ko mbatan leno kandu manji senema soto fulanja na musu kono mal men ninke soto ila kono bukata la de sodolji ka kono bo soto na dindi mesal men ka tarambala ka jeme mi mbara man senea sometimes ka kono bay courant soto.
And because of that their health has boosted. Before water this waterborne disease because of bad water, children always get diarrhea. You say a woman under pregnancy caused abortion because of that bad water. But now, that is not happening.
Since 1990 to date, all the water supply projects funded by the EU gave access to safe, clean and portable water to over 400,000 people in various regions of the Gambia.
Number one. And Nafale and the Handibak. And the Jew theatre, a Jew Senate, the Apatata Back, and the Tamajamola. Yeah, you for a busy. Huh? And the Tamajamola.
The non-state actors strengthening program in the Gambia was implemented in the 9th EDF. The overall program approach was based on a complementary mix of organizational capacity building project grants, information sharing, and the establishment of effective mechanisms for policy engagement. The project equipped the non-state actors, especially civil society, with the capacity tools and the opportunity to influence, support, and monitor government's performance, and therefore enabling them to play a more active and effective role in public life and in the development process of the Gambia.
Where it is clearly stated that on one hand there is a political dialogue maintained between the parties, and on the other hand there is development cooperation delivered. Now we have to make sure that these two goes parallel with each other and supports each other.
The government of the Gambia and the EU regard good governance as one of the key pillars for poverty reduction and sustainable achievement of development objectives. Governance was one of the focal sectors of the 10th EDF. The €10 million project aims to contribute to the democratic and economic governance through improved access to justice and public expenditure and financial accountability. Under the governance program, Access to Justice project started in November 2014 and will end in December 2016. It is generally aimed at improving the justice system in the Gambia and enhancing the work of justice service providers. It has three specific components, namely access to justice and legal services, legal education training and research, information and case management.
The project Access to Justice and Legal Education is a component of the EU-funded governance program in the Gambia. A total budget of €10 million has been committed for the implementation of the governance program. The approach of the project consists of improving access to justice, knowledge of rights through awareness-raising campaign, and improving customary justice, mediation, and CADI.
70% of the Gambian population use the customary law justice system, which is cheaper, simpler, and more readily understood. This is where the EU-funded project is increasing and improving the justice system in the Gambia.
Public financial management is another component of the governance program. This component supports the VAT implementation and budget formulation processes, public procurement reforms, and on access of public expenditure and financial accountability, PEFA. Under the 10th EDF NIP-B envelope was the Drainage, Sanitation and Waste Management Project. This project came about as a result of the heavy rains which occurred in September and October 2010, causing damage to infrastructure and loss of lives in the Gambia. The project aims at improving the living conditions and health of most vulnerable population by mitigating the impact of future heavy rains through cleaning, rehabilitation, and adaptation of the drainage system in 7 disaster hotspots across the country, sensitization of local communities, and support the capacity of government in disaster management.
Many people were affected, and mostly if you see the West Coast region, it was severely affected as compared to other part of the country. So that way there is a very big adverse impact of the hazards, the flash floods in the country.
The Gambia-EU cooperation attaches significant importance to agriculture, environment and climate change, as postulated in the Page and Vision 2020 respectively.
Through some of our other projects and also the engagements that we have with government, that the country is within the Sahel region, one of many countries which is suffering from climate change. And what we've noticed through a separate project that we have called the Global Climate Change Alliance is that there is now a variability in rainfall. I've seen it in the national climate change policy, and that this variability can have an impact on those farmers who are producing using rain-fed agriculture, which is the majority of subsistence farmers in the Gambia.
The corporation strongly believes that agriculture has the potential to stir economic growth and reduce poverty. The EU MDG 1C project in the Gambia aims to contribute to the reduction of hunger in food insecure and vulnerable areas in order to contribute to achieving MDG 1C, halving between 2000 and 2015 the proportion of people who suffer from hunger. Component 1 of the project, implemented by FAO, is to increase household food security and income of farmers through enhanced crop productivity and reduction of post-harvest losses.
FAO is the agency in the United Nations that leads the global effort to achieve food security, nutrition security among all its member countries. The FAO component, which is the one that has dealt with the smallholder farmers for the most part, had a focus on increasing the productivity of smallholder farmers for the production of rice, maize, and millet.
There was nobody on the ground to advise them. The improvement came the following year, that is last year, when I was on the ground. I've been coming here frequently, discussing with them, teaching them on the ground, even practicalizing the knowledge on the soil for them to see. And we even have a farmer field school. We established a farmer field school here. Before the project also, you can see the cabbage. There was only few cabbage beds here. But now, like last year, you can see one person getting over 3 to 5 pounds of cabbage from her bed, and which can cost you about $1,000 to $2,000 in monetary value.
To support farmers' incomes through focusing on increasing their capacity for processing better the produce that they got from the farms. And this was done through the provision of processing machinery for maize, millet, and rice, as well as a tremendous amount of capacity building.
Under this component, seeds and fertilizers were delivered to over 3,725 farmers and members of community gardens to boost production during the 2014 season.
Abe fuara bailele abe kongo fana baile musolla soto be yiruwala rana fa warta baka birin jati kenda fana kafurun wala bebe ko kono
nyen kadino kayra dorong awle soto je ani nyatota kat folo ay na baluwo sono yandembo bi fengol bitako na femmandasa na kadino aliye ya marodi na nyame ndol fanan ka ke wala nyame bi nga na fame soto je ko man to mawo soto je bar birin na tol dun tanyo bolo kadino atata nyatol ni sango sang fenna kala faka abuka jin kata nyatol dor kadino na fa doron ne soto je.
Component 2 is implemented by WFP in close collaboration with the Ministry of Basic and Secondary Education. Daily meals are being provided to targeted pre- and primary school children.
The most interesting thing is that we are bringing the smallholder farmers as partners of the World Food Program. Why? Because we introduce jointly with the government the homegrown school meals program, meaning buying from the local small-scale farmers. And if you are doing so we are ensuring a reliable and sustainable market for the small-scale farmers.
The WFP school feeding component is generally working well, reaching over 50,170 pupils in 18 schools. The project also supports 118 school vegetable gardens with the possibility to develop more school gardens going forward.
So in terms of the school meals program, since 2012, we have a paradigm shift from food aid agency to a food assistance agency. Probably you'll ask me, what does it mean? It means that the World Food Program is providing much more support of the government. We are empowering the government to manage their own school meals program.
So it actually saw a partnership between FAO and WFP, focusing one on the smallholder farmers and second on the school system, the school feeding program.
On the environment, the Global Climate Change Alliance, GCCA, support project to the Gambia aims to contribute to the capability of the government and people of the Gambia to adapt to increased climate variability and change. The implementing agencies are the National Environment Agency, NEA, for the Coastal Zone Management component and the Department of Water Resources, DWR, for the component on mainstreaming climate change into development planning. The project, since its commencement in 2013, has accomplished so many activities such as an advanced training on coastal vulnerability assessment, coastal monitoring and information management. The first round of grants worth 20 million Gambian dollars was disbursed to 6 organizations whose interventions focus on awareness building on climate change and coastal adaptation measures, sustainable livelihoods and resources in coastal communities, and enhancing sustainable waste management practices for improved social and environmental health of coastal communities.
We developed a coastal protection project, one of which was the GCCA funded project, which is 3.86 million euros. We also, through the Least Developed Country Fund, developed another adaptation project for the coastal area and also enhancing the livelihood of the communities to the tune of $8.9 million.
The Gambia was severely hit by drought in 2011-2012, resulting in a decline of local cereal production and hikes in staple cereal prices on local markets. The EU, together with the government of the Gambia, mobilized funds, 1.5 million euro, through ECHO in response to the food crisis.
And what ECHO is helping us do, or what they've helped us do, is to actually focus on feeding practices for children. And I want to raise this as a very important point because many donors are not interested in infant and young child feeding. Many donors are looking for big numbers. They want to know that they saved these many children from death because it was an emergency. Many donors don't see the link with the failure of infant and young child feeding in terms of contributing to severe acute malnutrition. But what ECHO has done was to support the prevention of severe acute malnutrition in addition to the treatment. What ECHO funding has been able to do is to enable us to get very good data from implementation of the SMART survey, which provides key indicators around child survival and development, specifically nutrition.
The funds were channeled to WFP, in which 1,300 tons of food were purchased and distributed to 19 most vulnerable districts, notably Central River Region. In addition, 386 metric tons of micronutrient-fortified vegetable oil was supplied to feed 206,000 people for 2 months. Supplementary blanket feeding to 25,000 children at risk of malnutrition for 3 months was also provided.
And even technical resources, because there is some back and forth that happens with ECHO and EU agencies when you're providing them with project concepts, and so they give you their own technical input. So financial and technical resources have been given to UNICEF to support UNICEF in fulfilling its mandate here in the Gambia. But I would say most specifically, children have benefited.
In 2013, UNICEF received from ECHO a grant of 250,000 euro for interventions covering the period 1st April 2013 to 31st March 2014, with a special focus on treatment of severe cases of acute malnutrition and the underlying childhood diseases to reduce under 5 mortality.
Children have benefited from treatment for malnutrition, children who would have died. Because when children are treated for severe acute malnutrition, they are at risk of death. So you're literally doing life-saving interventions.
The European Union has approved the allocation of 150 million euros approximately $7.8 billion for the Gambia for the 11th EDF National Indicative Program 2014-2020. However, 33 million euros has been committed for the first phase of the 11th EDF on two sectors such as agriculture for economic growth and food security, nutrition, 21 million euros on feeder roads, 7 million euros exit strategy to transport sector, 3 million euros and 2 million euros for the technical cooperation facility. The remaining balance of funds will be committed after the finalization of next country's National Development Plan, page 2. The EU continues to support Gambia's development through other mechanisms, especially with various CSOs in the Gambia, such as Action Aid International The Gambia, SOS, Concern Universal, to name a few, through grants and through contribution agreements with international development agencies like the World Bank and UN agencies. The Gambia benefits from regional indicative programs that are funded by the EDF and other funding instruments, such as the Independent Vaccine Initiative, ITC, Porcodel, PARC Project, Pan-African Control of Epizootics, PACE, AGER, Butane Gas Project, Diaper Project, Fisheries Project, support to the Casamance Peace Talks, the Regional Solar Program RSP Phase 1 and 2, the support to the electoral cycle, TIPE 1 and 2 projects, and STEBEX, amongst others.
It's a multifaceted, multi-dimensional cooperation. It's not just about the latest focal sector in the EDF, it's much more than that. And probably, if you look into your crystal ball, who knows what it's going to bring in the future in terms of other dimensions to the cooperation. The European Union is a project, after all, that's developing all the time.
We hope that as we move closer to 2020, the cooperation will be further strengthened in support of the achievement of the goals of this vision.
The Gambian people, they feel the change. They see the advantage of the EU overall support. Be it in their neighborhood, be it like new roads constructed, or capacity building, or training, or helping them to improve their everyday living environment. Whatever the project, it doesn't matter. The point that they feel a change.